This is the Rogue Ones podcast with Leslie Eiler Thompson. This podcast aims to introduce you to fascinating rogues living extraordinary lives so that we may, in turn, learn to follow their example. As we know, extraordinary isn't bound to one area of expertise. Niches all over the world are filled to the brim with legends in their field, and we would do well to learn from them. These last two episodes will feature people in fields you probably have never even thought about. I am married to someone who is my polar opposite, and because of this, I've been fortunate to learn about many new cultures during our almost decade of relationship. Perhaps the most powerful, pun intended, culture he's introduced me to is the wide, wonderful world of strength training, powerlifting, and strongman. I've found that within this culture are some of the most fascinating and roguish people one may ever encounter. If you're in any sort of strength training program, you probably know of this guy, and I'm going to be honest, I am astonished that he agreed to talk to me. Best known for his 531 program, Jim Wendler is an icon in the world of strength training and powerlifting. To put his legacy into perspective, his first powerlifting program book, written in 2011, has sold over 500,000 copies. Each book goes for $25 a piece. Do the math. And that doesn't include the countless pirated PDFs floating around. Since then, he's released 3 more books on the 531 variation to the same acclaim. Google his name, however, and you won't find a single interview with anyone outside of the strength training world, let alone a glasses-wearing, chicken-nuggety creative thinker such as myself. Jim is currently a volunteer football coach in his small Ohio community and maintains an online presence by writing blogs, most recently on the subject of Eat, Sleep, Mate, Defend. We will cover what that means later on in the episode. Please be aware, Jim uses words that haven't graced the Rogue Ones podcast ever before, and he uses a lot of them. It's for this reason that the episode is marked explicit. I just couldn't bring myself to take these words out. I now have the immense pleasure of introducing you to Jim Wendler. Please enjoy our conversation, which begins with us examining the very few similarities between us. You and I have actually a lot in common, which is kind of funny. So we're both from Illinois. I'm from Freeport, Illinois. If you remember the Freeport pretzels, that was us. If you ever played the pretzels at any point in time, that was us.
I was well north of you, I think. And
yeah. Our parents are both teachers.
Okay.
And then we both had a stint in discus.
Yeah.
Though mine was significantly shorter than yours in many ways.
In high school or junior high or something?
Junior high. It was funny. I happened upon it because I'm short and stumpy, and so I wasn't a great runner. And I actually did try hurdles, but it was very bad.
They're too tall.
Yeah, they stuck a discus in my hand, and on the first tournament, I happened to get 3rd place, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, I have a future in this."
Yeah.
And then the second tournament, I was like last. And I was like, oh, I don't have a future in this.
You know, it's funny because when you get a little older, I wish I would have taken a few more risks in high school. Like I would have liked to have done one play. I don't have a regret. It'd been cool to do some other shit that I didn't really, I wasn't comfortable doing, I guess is the best way to say. Getting up in front of 3,000 or 2,000 people in high school and playing music is very, it's nerve-wracking when there's a lot of parents out there. And music was, give you an example. If you played in a band in high school, you occasionally got to sit out 3 periods and you got to play in the foyer.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then we had 2 or 3 battle of the bands every year. Sponsored by the high school. And then we had like talent shows and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So freshman year, I saved up my money I actually had a paper route for 3 years. Saved up my money, and I worked as a cashier or a bagger at a grocery store.
Uh-huh.
And I saved up for drums. And I didn't know how to play drums at all. So I just practiced every single day. And God bless my parents, right? You ever hear a kid play drums? You can't play. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So my parents, for 4 years, almost every weekend, we had those guys over.
Humored your high school band rehearsals.
Yeah. And they actually went on to become the first emo band, believe it or not, in the world. What was kind of cool about that was, all through high school, I had the music friends, and then I had obviously the sports group. And it was nice to be able to commingle a little bit, and you see things from a different angle. because everyone hates the jocks and everyone hates these guys. And so it was just kind of cool to be able to see both sides. And I didn't care. I just wanted to play music and hit people. That's pretty much all it came down to.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You are best known for two things, it seems. 1,000-pound squat and then the development of 531. And can you kind of give like a layman's terms, what is 531, and then kind of how you developed it?
I have to explain this to my parents' friends all the time.
Okay, there you go. Good. Yes, give us that version.
Our neighbors are like, why don't you ever go to work?
Are there rumors that you're like a secret squirrel for the military or something?
Yeah, I got drug dealer was a big one for a while, for a couple of years.
Good.
I don't care. Like, you think, does that keep you away from me? Yes. Oh yeah, that's what I am. Don't come over.
Right.
Anyway, so 531 is a weight training program that allows you to know what to do on each and every day, on each and every lift, the exact weights. And so what I found, and I've been really working on this for, 20 years, I've been trying to do stuff like this, was I wanted to have a plan, an exact plan, a long-term plan. So when I go in the weight room, I know exactly what I'm going to do weight for weight. Rather than just going in, I'm like, I guess I'm doing this, and you don't even know, you have no goal to shoot for on that day. Just kind of wing it. And that only works for so long, especially if you're serious about, getting stronger or getting more fit or whatever the hell else you want to call it. So I tried to find the simplest and easiest way that will really make sense to people and would make sense to me, because I originally developed for me. And it really caught on because it was so damn simple. I got a lot of people when it first came out like, well, I get it and I understand it, but it's so easy. And I'm like, well, just try it. And everyone, not everyone, because I got a lot, obviously, once you get a little steam going and some notoriety, a lot of people hate you.
Yeah. My husband is strongman guy, and and I think he's had 531 since it first came out. In fact, the book, I keep putting the book on the shelf, but it keeps showing back up on the couch. So
like Elf on the Shelf.
Yes, exactly. Like it keeps just showing up. So if that makes you feel good, it never leaves our couch.
We've sold, God knows, 500,000 copies, and a bunch of other whatever. And so people had tremendous success because, for the most part, everyone that reads that book is not what I would call a lifter. They're just guys who want to get strong, or girls who want to, they have other things to do in their life. I liken it to trying to change your oil. I don't need to know all the ins and outs. Just show me what to unplug and where to put the pan and what to put in. I don't need to know all the specifics of how things work. And so that's kind of who it's written for. It kind of dumbs everything down, which is how everything in my life is like dumbed down, because I'm not dumb, but I'm not like the smartest guy in the world. And I don't want to waste all my time, figuring out the philosophy of, like I play guitar, like just show me where to tune, where to put my hands. I'll figure out the rest of the shit. Just show me a few things. But it ended up catching on like insanely.
You said you announced your book with just like a single Facebook post.
Yeah. Well,
which is brilliant.
Every single book I've ever written, except for the last one, we did no marketing. We just put a post up like, hey, the book's out. If you want it, that's cool. I think it works for a couple of reasons. One, I developed a good core audience, and I've tried every book I've written, I've tried to give more than I was able to give. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, right.
Because you can only burn people once. And then the number two is I don't put out a lot of shit. I think there's 3 or 4 years between each book. Yeah. I don't know how you can put out a book every 6 months with new information. It just doesn't work like that. At least not for me. I have to go through all the, number 3, I don't post a lot on social media. And people like, dude, you got to post twice a day. I'm like, I don't even do anything interesting twice. I go to Popeyes. Because that's big fucking news. I go to Popeyes. I love Popeyes. Oh my God. It's my fucking Achilles heel.
I have never been.
Oh, I love fried chicken.
Maybe I'll go today.
Yeah.
Was this the first time that somebody had taken a lifting program and then kind of like condensed it for the everyday person?
I don't know of any, because there might have been others, but I never really saw anything. Now, there's been guys who've written books on programs, but Like, it always drove me nuts when I'd see a program that says squats and then say 5 sets of 5.
Right.
Or they'll say, just go up 10 pounds every week. Well, it doesn't work. I teach a lot of younger kids who maybe haven't really reached man puberty, I call it.
Puberty.
Or
Dad bods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and, or if you work with female athletes who have generally weaker upper bodies,
Mm-hmm.
like, you just can't increase 5 pounds every so often. It just doesn't work like that. So you needed something that dialed everything in. It just blew up. I was at the right place at the right time, and I had did all the work. I was ready for the opportunity. There's this growing, Instagram trainers or whatever you want to say it, or I'll call it fitness motivators. I guess it comes down to anything is, what have you really done? That's worthwhile. Like, I'll give you an example. So I won 3 letters at the University of Arizona. Okay. I was a walk-on. I got a scholarship. I worked my ass off. I wasn't.
What does walk-on mean?
That means you go onto the team, you have no scholarships. You have to pay your way through school.
Wow.
You're treated like garbage. I wrote a whole article about how that really taught me that not everyone's equal. If you contribute, then you know what? You might get some slack when you come in late to a meeting. I didn't have that same slack. So then I squatted 1,000. I got my name on the record board at Westside.
Explain to us what Westside is.
Westside Barbell is a gym in Columbus, Ohio. It's started and run by a guy named Louis Simmons. It's a private club. Like, you just can't walk in there and train. For the past, 20 years or so, probably even more. For the most part, you have some of the strongest men who ever walked the planet. Real characters. It's a different world in there. I saw a guy who was 220 pounds squat, 1025. And this was, 15, 18 years ago. So it's a different world. So I did that. And then I, sold, shit ton of books. And I've been all over the world and doing all this stuff. When I started coaching the football team, none of the kids really know who I am. I'm just a guy who lives down the street, and I got all these tattoos. And some kid comes up to me, he's like, "You got like 40,000 followers on Instagram, man. That's fucking huge." And I was like, "Really? That's where I get my fucking credibility from you?"
Wow.
Yeah, it was something else. And I was like, "Well, there you go." Anyway.
It's very, it's really great. Then what you do is so it works so well off of social media. It is such a tangible, your book is tangible. It's a very tangible activity.
I was lucky because I didn't get
activity.
Renowned before. There's no social media when I first started.
Yeah,
and maybe there was. 2001 is when I started at EFS.
So on the subject of the coaching thing, what was the impetus for doing that?
2 things. One, I think that if you believe in something and you don't fucking do it, then you're a hypocrite. If you're not willing to do what you're asking the government to do, then you don't get to tell anyone else what to do with their money. So my wife and I were talking and we're doing all this stuff. And I was like, for a long time, I thought I was doing a lot of help to the world doing what I was doing, because I answer so many questions and and everything was for free and I was helping people out. And then you realize nothing takes the place of one-on-one. So then I started thinking, our goal is to raise good kids. That's really what I want to do. That's how you change the world. You don't change the world by crying about stuff. You change the world by making an impact in the kid's life. So I know I'm doing that at home, at least we're trying. And I was like, well, what's the next step? And that's helping my community. And I don't cook. My mom cooked for the homeless for years and years because she's a really good cook and she loves doing that shit. She loves slaving over the stove and making all these huge dishes. And I was like, well, if I'm telling people that this is what needs to be done and I'm not doing it, then I'm a fucking fraud. And I said, either I put up or shut up. I know this is something I believe in. So I called the coach up and, they needed people. And I said, I look like a freak. And he's like, that's okay. And we need people. And it's took off from there. But, you don't get paid a lot doing this stuff. And I said, I don't want a paycheck. Just put all to the kids. If they need something, we'll take care of it. And it wasn't like I'm not a martyr because it's like I don't need the money. I felt like, if I'm going to do this, you do it and volunteer. And, if you look over like a giant city, like kind of where we grew up, do you know how many people could be helping around there, just doing little shit? It doesn't have to be a lot. Right. Just doing something that you're good at. If you're a good music teacher, maybe you help out at the community center teaching kids music for 3 times a week or something for an hour. something like that. And that's the one thing I'm good at is coaching and training and getting all the kids, all that stuff. Every kid gets their own training workout. I print them out every 3 weeks. And this is how our community works. And I'm very proud of this. Let's say, for example, at London High School, it's not a very rich community, right? It's a farm community. If the heat was out, instead of going and bitching about it, you know what you do? You go and fucking fix the heat or put heaters in. We'll all chip in. The answer is never the government. The answer is you guys coming together, getting shit done, and not waiting around. And that empowers us as a group.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same thing. Like my wife and I, we live by two things. You ready for this? One, we live so far below our means. It's gross. Okay. Because now we have no debt. We're about to pay off our house. We don't have any car payments. We have nothing. And number two is I always date my wife. So I still act like I'm 16 around her.
Do you mind me asking where y'all met?
All right, this is kind of a nutty situation.
Love it.
I had been married before, and she had been married before also. When I used to work at a company called Elite FTS. Myself, Dave Tate, who's the owner, and I think two other guys are the first guys to be on what was known as the EFS Q&A, and it fucking blew up. And then I answered like 1,000 emails a month too on top of it. It was just fucking crazy. What's even crazier is when I first started, I was EFS's, or Elite FTS, whatever you want to call it, first employee, is that I remember.
Really?
Okay? So we were in a tiny place in tiny business front, and it was just dilapidated. But it was what we could afford. And Dave and I we would take the phones and we'd package shit up. That's what we did. Me and Dave, there was no air conditioning. So Dave was 305 pounds. I was 275. No shirt on, just taping fucking boxes up, grabbing shit off the shelf, just bullshitting, having a good time. And that's what we did we were there for, I don't know, 4 or 5, 3 years maybe. When you start a business, it's not you're up in the CEO box, yelling at your people. You're on the fucking ground floor. So by the time I left EFS, I had done every single job. I learned coding for the website. Really? I did all the sales stuff. I did all the copy when you write on the website stuff. Yeah. So by the time I left so this coincides with my wife. I left in 2010. Now, at the time that I was there, we had brought more people into the EFS Q&A to help answer questions and write articles and just be part of it, right? So then my wife was asked. She was the first female to be asked on there because we wanted a female presence. We thought, she could reach, because she'd done ton of figure stuff. She did some powerlifting me. She did some kettlebell shit. She was a swimmer in college, so she had this huge athletic background, and she did a lot of stuff. That's how I met her, but nothing happened. Like we were just like, I'm like, hey, welcome, do you have any questions? And, maybe she'd ask me something, and that was it. And that was for like a year or so. And ironically, about a year before we met, she had just released a book. Okay. And on Valentine's Day, EFS ran a special, and then they were pairing my book and her book together right? And it said a match made in heaven.
That's so romantic.
This is the weird part. I had just left EFS, and the scary thing about leaving your job is when I had no idea where I was going to get money. It's very stressful. My friend, one of my best friends, Matt Rhodes and Vincent DeCenzo, were doing a seminar with Juliet in Boston. And I called my buddies up and I said, hey, Rhodes, Vincent, I'm going to come with you guys. I don't want to speak. I need to fucking get out of here. Mm-hmm. So Juliet's there. Man, we picked her up at a Starbucks in New York City. I walked in that Starbucks and I saw her for the first time in person. I said, I'm going to fucking marry this girl.
Oh my.
Yeah. She went back. She lived in New Jersey. And I said, we only spent like 3 days together and stuff. And I said, I'm going to fly out next week to you. She's like, yeah, all right. So Wednesday, I called her up. I'm like, all right, you're picking me up in Newark Airport. She's like, are you serious about that?
Wow.
And then I told her that weekend I wanted to marry her.
Oh, God.
I don't care what you say. I'm like, this is just going to fucking happen. I don't know when, but we're going to do it. And then like a month later, we were living together.
What a great story.
Yeah.
We'll get right back to my conversation with Jim shortly, where I ask him about the whole eat, sleep, mate, defend thing. It's very interesting. Stay tuned. I wanted to take a moment to let you know that after today's episode, there will only be one more left in this first season of The Rogue Ones. If you've been enjoying this podcast, or if you're listening for the first time today, welcome, and you happen to enjoy it, tell your friends. They can binge listen before the next season. And the great thing about this podcast is that in this first season, at least, There are no ads. That's enough of a reason to give it a go. Am I right? Let's get back to my conversation with Jim and see how you, as a rogue, can implement the eat, sleep, mate, defend philosophy. I want to ask you about your philosophy, eat, sleep, mate, defend.
Well, I got that from, and I'm going to probably butcher this. I'm a huge person in music, as we found out. And I have so many albums laying around. And I saw that when I was probably 25 maybe, 24. I want to say the band is Burnt by the Sun. Okay. It's a hardcore band. I'm not sure. And it was on their, I don't think it was the name of their CD. It might have been, but I know it was on this actual CD. And I was like, my God, if you're going to whittle life down to the bare essentials, because you have to remember, up until, I don't know, maybe 150 years ago, the majority of your existence was survival.
Yeah.
Now, it's crazy to think about that, because all this shit that you do during the day, how much, like, you don't even have to worry about food. I had like this realization, like how lucky we are and how we take it for granted. Life is awesome. And you got to really appreciate the shit that you have. I just remembered like how life used to be. And even if you take, without all the static, that's pretty much what we are. You know, we eat, we sleep. That's like the basic essentials. Now mating, that's just kind of a tough, not everyone wants to mate. Not everyone should mate. But from defend is not, I think everyone thinks like you have to be a karate dude or something. You're in a constant state of kind of like, my wife and I are responsible for my son's well-being, but you're always fighting to maintain your integrity, to maintain your attitude. I always tell the kids this, and this is kind of like how life works and how a football game works. I tell the kids all the time, I do not care if we win or lose. That means nothing to me. All I care is that you win. You take every battle during a game. That's every single play is a battle. And you try to win that battle. If everyone takes that attitude, and at the end of the game, the score will take care of itself. If you win all the battles, you're going to win the war. Okay. Now, sometimes you don't win all the battles. They do. And then the score reflects that, and that's okay. They were just a better team that day. And that's okay, but did you battle your ass off, okay? And so in life, like I only do one thing at a time. Like I always, just one thing, Wendler. Like when I get out of bed in the morning, I'm a horrible sleeper. So getting up kind of kills me. Just put your feet on the ground. That's battle one. Get your ass to the shower. Battle two.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's this constant state of just winning the little tiny battles throughout the day. So it's more of a it's, if you really want to get kind of why I did that, it was kind of a call to how basic life can be. And if you allow things to be basic, it doesn't have to be easy, but it's going to be much simpler.
Yeah, right.
I know it sounds like I'm like anti-technology. I want to be with my family more than anything. And I want to be present. Do you have kids?
No.
Yeah. So it's a lot different because they see you on your phone or they see you on your computer and they just want some like, Dad, like, you know what am I doing that's so fucking important?
Yeah.
Like, my kid wanting to play Legos is much more important. I don't know. There's no phones allowed in our school's weight room. And the kids are all interacting and there's such a camaraderie. That's one thing that I think football gives people more than anything is we have a lot of kids who are amazing athletes on the team. And we have kids that are really not that good. And they're always a part of it. I had a player come up to me who plays football. He's a good football player and he plays basketball. And he said, the difference between basketball and football is when you're in football, everyone means something like on our team. So there's like a camaraderie built and, you might not be the best, but if you put forth the effort, the kids will respect the hell out of you.
So this is completely random right before we wrap up. What do you listen to when you're training?
Weight room is like, my refuge. I have my own weight room in my house and we don't have anything else in that garage. It's just my weight room and my wife obviously trains there, but like I decorate it with like music posters and stuff and like stuff I really like. So I want it to be home. That's my home. Right. That's where I work. The funny thing is because I'm such a music snob, I listen to a lot of stuff that I've had since I was like 13, 11 years old that I still love today. So, or that's where I have a group of friends who are really into music. It's awesome. Like this world of training I got friends all over the place. We have a continuous group text going Like, check this band out, check this. So that's where, like, if they say, like, I check it out. But for the most part, I try to put on something somewhat calm. I listen to, there's a band called Crippled Black Phoenix, which is kind of like proggy, Pink Floydian kind of stuff, because it kind of relaxes me. There's one of my favorite bands is called Dragged in the Sunlight. They put out an album called Widowmaker, and the first song is just violin and a cello. It's like 15 minutes long, that first song. So that's like how I warm up. It's just like, just kind of lulling you to sleep and stuff. I still listen to some stuff, but it's not, I think when I was growing up, first of all, we didn't really have a radio that you could control. It was just like the radio station when I was growing up in my first weight room. So I never really used music to like pump me up. I just use it because, like, if you listen to Slayer or something, I use it to relax. Like, this is me. Like, this is something I grew up with. So it's more of a relaxing thing or something I really kind of like to hear. If that makes sense. I'm also at the point in my life where I don't like go scream and do shit in the weight room. I still train incredibly hard, but I'm not, putting. You
don't have those, what are those nose things that they?
Nose torque and shit like that. Yeah, that stuff doesn't work.
It's so funny to be at those strongman meets, and it's like the top rep of the deadlift, and they're like screaming and running. Yeah. And my mom has always kind of made fun of it all because she's like, they get all worked up, and then it's like 2 seconds.
Yeah, well, it's like when you lift the car off the kid. That's like the adrenaline spike that you're getting. The tough thing about that is if you've ever, like when you do it in meets, it's different, but you can't keep that up. And so you got to learn how to train with a somewhat elevated level but you can't do that every set of every workout. You have to learn how to be calm. And like my whole life has just been, lifting weights and hanging out with great people and meeting the most wonderful woman in the world. So I'm very lucky.
I just wanted to close with a quote of yours. And you can riff on it if you want, but I just wanted to close with it.
I've said a lot of dumb shit, people. So
we all do, don't we? So this one is, people are not attracted to vanity. They're attracted to confidence, passion, and life movement. No one owns a room by the way they look. It's how they carry themselves. There's so much more to this, but please don't talk about your love handles, which I appreciated. You then go on to say, act on your passions in life, move boulders, read, be polite, further your education, minimize personal and financial debt, and take ownership of every part of your life. And I just think that's fantastic.
I can talk about this for another half hour, but when I coach the kids, I always bring them up and try to give them some stuff. And the one thing my dad taught me is like, it may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. That's when I got hit by the car. My life was it was horrid. I should have died. And I was out alone in like a fucking ditch in the dark. It's like 11:30 at night. And luckily I thought I was going to die. And, I had to get my spine was fused. My wife took care of it. Like I had road rash all over my body. That fucking sucks. It's one of the worst. But it was like, I could sit there and complain about it and blame that guy. And it was his fault. But whose responsibility is it for me to get better? It's mine. Everything that happens to you, whether you like it or not, it's going to suck. Like, dude, I got handed a shit ton of lemons, but I didn't really feel sorry for myself because I was like, well, I don't know. It's just like when you play football, I tell the kids all the time, football is 100% injury sport. You're going to get fucked up. If you expect it, then everything's like, I got hurt. That's the way it goes. So it didn't really bother me. Like, people beat cancer. What's this?
Right.
So, but the other thing I told the kids today, you know who Gene Simmons is, the singer for Kiss?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Gene Simmons.
He was on a talk show or something one time, and some lady got up, and Gene he loves being a man and just doesn't apologize for anything.
Yeah.
And she was all pissy with him, and she said, and this always stuck. I heard this 20 years ago. She said, "I bet you're the kind of man who walks in the room and thinks you're the most handsome man there." And his response was, "Well, if I don't believe it, then who will?" And I was like, holy shit, Gene Simmons. I told the kids, if you don't believe in what you're doing, no one else here will believe you.
Yeah.
And you have to start believing in everything that you do. And it's like, it's okay if you suck, then just own up to it and get better. But all that stuff, like when I see, especially these days with, how social media is and everyone's taking these pictures and making sure their abs look right and stuff. I think people get so caught up, like, hey, girls will like me if I have a six pack. And you say, well, that might be true, but they're not the good ones.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you? Like, well, they're not the people I would ever, not even like have a one night stand. I don't even want to deal with them. And like all the good girls and the good guys just don't really care that much, especially guys. Like, I know this sounds really bad. Way girls look and all this stuff. It's so they don't get made fun of by other girls. Most guys are like, you look pretty good. You got jeans on? That's fucking cool. I don't care what kind they are. For the most part, guys just don't really care as much, at least not once they get to a certain point. Now, young guys might say some pretty shitty stuff, but most of the mature guys don't give a shit. Like I told my wife, I said, I'd rather have a lady who's 50 pounds overweight, who's awesome to be with, who's confident in herself, who's funny, smart, all that stuff, is not ashamed of her body when she's in bed, than having some stuck up, 8% body fat girl who's all about this and that. I just want to live my life with a fucking awesome woman. That's it. I know there's not everyone should get married and all that stuff, but man, having someone at your side is fucking awesome. My mom and dad were both teachers, so they really stressed not education, obviously in school, but outside of it. And they were like, I always read. That was just part of the thing. When you grew up in our family, you were just a reader, and then once I got involved with sports, that was a big thing too. And I've told this story a million times, but I can't tell you how many people have told me you'll never go anywhere writing, reading, and lifting weights. There's other paths to success, and you can kind of look a little weird. I'm like, I don't work a lot. I'm not now. I don't work a lot. All the way up until this, it was one thing after a lot of free work I did. Oh shit! I always tell people for 2 years I made $800 a month. I wrote down when I was 19 or 20. I wrote down what I wanted to do on a piece of paper, and I just I have to get there somewhere, right? And I'm doing it today, but if you would have asked me when I was 20 what the perfect life was, there's no way I could predict how awesome this is.
My conversation with Jim was an hour and a half in total, and all the questions I had for him would have easily taken up the entire afternoon. He's a busy guy, and we didn't even get to touch on his autoimmune disorder, true story, he doesn't have a thyroid, his life-threatening motorcycle accident, or his love for Bob Ross. I won't tell you to follow him on social media because, well, he doesn't do anything on it and doesn't care if you follow him or not, but do follow along with him at jimwendler.com. I'm so grateful that Jim hopped on this call with me because once you get a view of him outside of the lifting world, you quickly find that his wisdom and convictions are worthy of anyone's respect, whether in a gym or not. There's only one episode left, my friends, and I can't wait for you to hear it. Visit rogueonespodcast.com for all the information you could possibly need about all of the episodes in the past and future. May your day be full of bright possibilities, Rogue One. We'll talk soon.